Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on the Ryan Weiner podcast, where we talk about all things that have to do with existence. If you are interested in knowing why you exist and all the different aspects of why we're here, please click that thumbs up button and go ahead and subscribe. You probably wouldn't be here if you weren't into that kind of thing to begin with. So today we have a really cool guest here. Tasha is actually somebody I'm going to be working with. I'm very, very interested in hearing all about her story here. This is Miss Tasha Cohen. She is a citizen advocate with Citizens for Disclosure, part of the New Paradigm Institute, and is also an experiencer also. And so I wanted to find out. We'll start with where did you get interested, Tasha, in everything like this? I think you had mentioned kind of around college was when you kind of had your first like visual
Yes.
experience.
So first definite confirmation that I wasn't crazy was in college,
Yeah.
where I saw my first sighting in the sky, wide awake.
Hmm.
But I've always been interested. In fact, I was trying to think of when I became interested and I couldn't put my finger on it. My dad was sci-fi nut. I grew up with Star Trek. So, that was always in the zeitgeist and, maybe other crazy memories, So I have been interested in college, I would say, is when I really started actually diving into the topic and actually reading books. And then late in college is the first time that I saw something that, wait, that wasn't a shooting star.
Hmm.
What was that? So, and in the last couple of years, I don't know what's happened. I don't know if I'm paying more attention or if something's really happening. But I sit outside with my dogs most evenings in the summer, and it's a big sky here in Illinois. And I'm not sure when I started to notice, first of all, that we have a crazy amount of drones, which is just a whole nother discussion,
Yeah.
but other things. And uh, I think it was 2023, certainly by spring 2024, I had started buying cameras and
Hmm.
scopes just to answer my own questions. And it's really increased to the point where since I've come back from the Psy Games, almost every night that I look up,
Yeah.
I see orbs if I spend time
Yeah.
with it. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a weird world in 2025.
Yeah, it definitely is. At some point, you kind of made the jump. It sounds like from just kind of from seeing to kind of actively trying to seek out, but not necessarily like you had said, not necessarily using like a CE5 technique, but kind of just your own kind of intention. Maybe is that what it would be kind of more like?
Yes. So, I of course follow Dr. Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer, and I actually have the CE5 app.
Hmm.
But I don't know what we're dealing with. Right? If we're dealing with multiple different things, if it's some of it I do think is benevolent, I suspect that some of it is not. And I had heard warnings about doing CE5 by yourself, and I unfortunately don't have anybody in my immediate area that's got an interest. If you're
Oh,
interested
yeah,
and you're in the Central Illinois area, definitely look me up because I'd love to do some sky watching. In fact, we'll talk more about that in a minute.
yeah,
But through my own sky watching, and it's just me and my dogs. And quite frankly, I am sitting, I see something, and then you're sitting there, and I do meditate, although I don't sit outside and meditate during this time, but
hmm,
I am concentrating. And I think that I've gotten the same result.
yeah,
Um, Now there are many different things that this could be related to. And one thing that is being talked about in the zeitgeist right now is how it might be related to spiritualism.
hmm, yeah,
Dare I even say what happens when we pass? And I do wonder, I don't know, but my dad passed in January. That also puts your mind in a different place as well. Like you really start to understand the hard lessons of life. And I'm a believer that you can't have sadness, you can't have happiness without sadness.
yeah,
So I don't know, maybe it's just my transformation, or maybe there's a relationship to the speed up of
yeah.
the sightings for me and the occurrences. since my dad has passed. And I have many friends, unfortunately, that have passed also. And sometimes I wonder,
Yeah, that sort of weird crossover. I cannot think of Chris's last name now, but have you by any chance
Chris
read?
Bledsoe.
Yes, UFO of God. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's, I was going to say, I was speaking with somebody the night before last who just was hanging out with him at the modalities camp out thing that was going on in Wisconsin there. Or,
Oh,
yeah. So she was talking about that. But yeah, Chris, he has a very different way of doing things. He literally just kind of goes out and sort of just begins thinking or kind of opening the cards, so to speak, as he wants to put it, and is able to make that kind of immediate contact. But yeah, to him, this is a much more of a sort of spiritual type of thing. He doesn't really necessarily think of it, or I think he's kind of been both. Some of it is like, what's just something like me, but from another place. And then there's stuff that's like, the spiritual version of you, basically, as opposed to a material version that he sort of.
well,
Yeah.
I got to spend the evening with him. I got to do the Skywatch with him
Oh,
at the
perfect.
Psy game,
Okay.
which was so cool. And I do want to tell you all about that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
just to your point, real quickly, um, when we started, he did. I don't know that it was a prayer, like you go to church and you think of as a prayer, but he certainly was speaking, to whoever, whatever, to come see us, or and that putting it in spiritual terms. I can't remember his exact words, and that is similar to, I mean, it's like open your
Mhm.
heart, you
Yeah.
know. It's funny because he says, I've watched many interviews with him, and he said, I'm going to start crying. I cry a lot.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that makes me wonder, when, I mean, crying is hard,
Right. That's your pure emotional state there.
that it's a good heart, that you're good people.
Hmm.
Um, so let me segue. I got to come back to the story about the whole Skywatch.
Okay.
But this is really
Yeah.
fascinating to me, and I don't know if maybe you saw this, but just this week there was, can't remember if I saw it. I saw it in two different videos, and maybe it was even a study. I can't remember, but there's a new theory, and I'm going to butcher it, but basically saying that what these orbs
Hmm.
are some sort of conscious plasma,
Hmm.
and that's how you connect to them. Now,
Yeah.
what it whether that's another part of you or it's another entity, or, I mean, I don't know, but the conscious plasma part would at least make sense, because what doesn't make sense to me is how unimportant I am.
Uh-huh.
So I do not put it above the government to be blue beaming us. And if
Hmm.
you're not familiar with
Oh
Project
yeah.
Blue
Yeah.
Beam, that would be the government is faking it.
Yep.
And I do think that there's multiple things going on, because there's other things in the sky besides the orbs. But with the orbs, I'm just not important enough for the government to come and see me every night.
Hmm.
That doesn't make sense to me. So I have to look at other ideas of what it might be. And the conscious plasma thing kind of makes sense, because it's like they're coming to say hello for the evening.
Right.
And some people that I know don't believe me. So I have went crazy with the equipment trying to videotape it, and
I've always kind
lots
of
of
looked at
bad.
the different like plasmas. Well, there's different kinds of plasmas and orbs and stuff I've seen too. I think where you've got some that look like the sun literally setting on the horizon line, and then you have some where it's like a thing you can see through that's like 30 feet in front of you in the air. So, yeah, I've heard that also about the idea of the intelligent plasma. I know Dr. Greer's talked about programmable stuff. Like he's actually said, like, yeah, we can create plasma balls and send them into the sky above people, and
Oh, maybe they are
and
blue
that
beaming me.
stuff. But like he said though, then you have the other stuff that is actually the real deal, and so that's like the weird place we're in. Is like he was saying the other day, is that like it's hard to tell what's what these days when you're seeing it in the sky. So that's why when somebody had asked him about Chris's stuff, he was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to talk to him. I'd have to see it for myself to kind of know what's going on. Cause yeah, they can fake really cool looking stuff these days. But like you were saying, it's one thing if somebody is calling, they're going to go out and they have people that know about them going out and doing something. But when you just have somebody come over and you can walk out off your porch and make it happen, that's not the government as far as I'm concerned at that point. I could be wrong, but that's not the government as far as I'm concerned at that point.
It has happened to me during the day a couple
Mhm.
of times. I have one video. It's 3 short videos because you have a hard time transferring video, so I've learned to stop, start. Anyways, and I'm yelling at the neighbor, "Do you see that? Do you see?"
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, I've had a bright blue orb. It was a really pretty one. That was one of the coolest ones. It happens all the time. To go back to the Psy games,
Yeah.
just to back up a little bit, I actually it was the Skywatch with Chris Bledsoe, author of UFO of
Mhm.
God, was supposed to be on Friday night, and I was so exhausted. I literally came to that conference in part to go to the Skywatch with him,
Yeah.
but I was so exhausted, I could not go. I was in the hotel room zonked out. So it was cloudy that night and nothing happened. So they decided they were going to try again the next night, which was great. It's
Yeah.
really cool. So the Skywatch was at 9 o'clock, and at about 8:30, um, I went out in front of the hotel for just a few minutes, and I looked up and I'm like, no way, no way, orb right across.
Yeah.
I was like, coming tonight. They're going to be here.
Yeah.
And so I went back in and I was waiting for the group to go up. And someone came by and there was some talk. And I was like, they're coming tonight. I already know. I didn't tell them. I think I did tell him I'd already seen one. And then I got to really, really briefly meet Chris. He doesn't probably remember to me. He just said hello to me. And then we went up for the Skywatch. And first of all, there were so many orbs. Like, my video doesn't even cover all of them because I'm not that great at taking video, and it was freehand, you shake, and there's people.
Yeah.
So I clipped it so that it's just good parts to make it interesting, but there were at least 10 orbs that night, at least, and I left early because 'cause I'm party pooper, I was tired, so after it was cool, and then I actually left before the rest of the group came down. Um, so there were a ton of them, and then the other thing that happened, and the video is on my YouTube, that nobody has had an explanation for, and I really need somebody who knows something about night vision. You could see these orbs with your eyes, but I was using a night vision camera, and at one point, I come down and I'm squatted down, so I'm, like, below everybody, and
Yeah.
there's this weird light that's all over all the people. I don't know if you watched the video. It's this weird effect, and it looks like it's coming from down,
Okay.
and I need somebody who knows something about video and night vision to look at that and tell me, "What was that?" 'Cause it's
I
really
I'm
weird.
I'll take a look at it. I might be able to figure out what it
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
yeah. It's on my YouTube page if you guys are
Okay.
watching this and you want to, help me out, because it's probably just something technical, but maybe it was something weird that
Yeah.
was
Definitely.
scanning us, is what it looks like. Something was scanning the crowd, quite frankly, not to be weird.
That's
Why
really
not be
strange.
weird,
Okay.
actually? But yeah,
Yeah.
so the Skywatch did not disappoint. It was really cool. And I find Chris Bledsoe to be very genuine.
Yes.
It would be really, really heartbreaking for me to think that he would come and share this message with everyone to make money at a UFO conference off of his
No.
book. I just don't see that.
I
And
don't
that's the
think he's
alternative, right?
Yeah, I mean, I whenever he's on doing an interview, I've been following him since the entire thing started. I've communicated with him a little bit, trying to get him here and that just on Instagram. But yeah, he's just a really genuine person. He's not one of these. He's not. He has not. As far as I know, the guy doesn't accept any money for any of this. Any of these government agencies or any of these people he's friends with. I'm sure they. If somebody gets like a stipend for appearing at things, that's cool. But it's not his reason for being there. I could tell his reason for being there is exactly as the blonde lady, told him, is to, like, just bring the message to the world. That's all we ask you to do. We will help you. You don't need to worry about anything. We're gonna be there for you and with you through the whole thing.
And I am I'm hesitant to really even talk about how in awe I am of this experience because I do see people who are nervous about this becoming like a new religion. And I could see where religions don't always, aren't always a positive thing.
Mhm.
And so I'm very nervous about that. On the other hand, I do believe in God, and I hope that we do go on after living. So for me, when I was there to see him, to see all these orbs, and for him to say that's it, and I was seeing them already, to go,
Mhm.
oh my God, yeah, that is what I'm seeing. And then since I've come back, not every single time I spend time outside,
Mhm.
but I would say 2/3 of the nights where I'm able to spend at least an hour outside, I'm going
Yeah.
to see something.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And so it's increased, and maybe my belief has increased, so maybe that's why. Now, I also do think, though, that there's multiple things going on. I
Mhm.
do think that there's, um, more concrete, um, I don't know. I don't know if there's really craft, but there seems to be technology, right? I'm
Yeah.
I'm very hesitant to be an expert on things that I really don't know about, but after you watch
Yeah.
so much data, you see so many stories, you do tend to think where there's smoke, there's fire.
You have to be incredulent at a certain point to not to like it. That's incredulence is literally like, when you have tons and tons of evidence in front of you, even when it's anecdotal, and you're still like, no, no, I don't pay attention to that. You're just doing it on purpose at that point, basically. You're being a debunker instead of a skeptic who's healthily examining the situation. Um, yeah.
Well, and I do think there's literally people out there probably paid to do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. There's tons of disinformation people out there that are on the government payroll that are, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to throw people under the bus. I will let Dr. Greer do that for me because him, Danny, everybody, they're like, yeah, don't listen to this guy. He's on the take. Like they, because you have these different guys that you'll see them for, 20 years. I'm not going to say his name, but he's a guy with Harvard. I've seen that guy say one thing for 20 years straight, and then just recently picked up a $2 to $3 million contract with the Central Intelligence Agency, and now his story is completely different. Now there's all this stuff to be afraid of, and all this stuff to worry about, and we just don't know. And it's like, man, okay, I guess that's who you are.
I go back and forth on that whole fear mongering thing because part of me says it's unfair if there is a threat to not share that with the rest of us.
Right.
But then I look around at people that don't even want to believe the minimum and how bad that would actually literally shadow their world.
The
Have you had a
best.
chance to watch the new video, the new paradigm video
No,
that just
no,
came
I
out
haven't.
yesterday?
I haven't watched anything yet, so I'm gonna go through the folders and watch all the different videos and everything tonight. But, yeah, that one I haven't seen. But like all of Dr. Greer's videos, like I've got those ones memorized, and he's got a new
Yeah, watch
thing.
that one first
Okay,
because that's the
yeah,
one that's really good because it really touches on the ontological shock.
hmm
And also, interestingly, it really gives Danny's take, which is very nuanced. I had to back the video up to make sure I got it right. I'm
yeah,
that kind of person. But to talk about how basically, there's a lot of people out there who are saying, "Oh, if you have clearance or you got permission from the DOD to say this, that you're not a whistleblower."
right. You
Well,
must be being fed
video labels
information.
that as the control. Huh?
I said, yeah, they
The
think that you're being fed information the way that they've tried to attack David Grush.
break. Well, the video actually says that's our controlled disclosure. That they're letting the information out just a little bit at a
Yeah,
time
squeezing the air out
as
of the
to not
balloon,
shock.
just letting it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm interested now in what's going to happen for September 9th, and seeing who we actually get sit down there. Cause, um, yeah, the entire thing we're talking about with you're not going to have anybody testify if these people can't get security to help them and protect them. They need to be treated like eyewitnesses to any kind of other criminal activity and be provided with protection. And then on the second thing of it is, you start this and you get everything going. And I 100% am 100% in agreement with Dr. Greer. You have different human men and people out there with access to parallel technology under their own control. So some of these things we see taking off at 2,000 miles an hour, that's human technology that, Raytheon or somebody else. Um, but yeah, we've got so if you start let's say we start getting these guys to start telling and naming names. Well, what stops these guys from spinning up their false flag attack? So at the same time, we need to be able to get Congress to authorize using some kind of law enforcement action to go out and stand down at the different programs and the locations that they're actually being housed and facilitated at.
I think that that is the number one reason why we are not getting the firsthand witnesses, and
Hmm.
I've even seen already online people saying it's a dog and pony show. I think that I think they're working with what they can get right now, honestly, but
Yeah,
it just further accentuated the point if you understand, if you're immersed in it like we are and you understand what's at stake, that the whistleblower protections need to happen as soon as possible
yeah.
so we can get these real witnesses, these firsthand witnesses,
Well,
you
it's
know?
funny you bring that
Blame
up. Yeah. I was gonna say, just in the witness notes here, this is one of the things. So this went out to everybody in Congress. It's Dr. Greer's report and from our institute that they put together. But this is an entire list of witnesses of people that are willing to come forward. That are another page number 2. More witnesses, firsthand people.
Yeah.
These are people that have worked on these programs and are saying, all you have to do is give me protection and call me before Congress, and I will come and testify to this. And there's nothing, no movement, dead silence on it. So that's why I'm very
Right.
curious to see who's going to be here on the 9th. If it's just going to be more people saying, well, my brother knows a guy who knows a guy who stepped on a UFO one time, that kind of thing. So hopefully we'll get the real deal and get some first person witnesses going out of this.
So, and I don't know, nobody is talking about this, so and maybe I shouldn't mention it, but I actually think that possibly, and I know he didn't, maybe I'm wrong about this, but you know the guy that got blown up in the Tesla car at the Trump
Yeah.
hotel in Vegas, who
Yes.
supposedly has, sent some ARV manifesto or something to Sean Ryan? I
Yes.
think he was
He
I
sent
think he
Sean
was a
Ryan.
whistleblower.
Oh no, he definitely. I'm absolutely positive he was. He says that right in his manifesto. He claims he was self-deleting, unfortunately, due to PTSD and due to other different problems he was having. But yeah, that was kind of his like, oh, by the way, there's this anti-gravity technology program going on with this different kind of reverse engineering and blah blah blah, and you guys need to know about it. Yeah, so yeah, Sean and another guy talked about that on his podcast as to kind of trying to figure out because Sean didn't know the guy at all. He just literally
Yeah.
said, this guy just literally sent me this stuff out of nowhere.
Well, I guess here's the controversial part.
Mhm.
There's a lot of self-deleting, and maybe that was meant to be a message to the rest of these whistleblowers. You don't wanna go to Congress,
Mhm.
and if you look at it in that context,
There
I mean, it's
was there anything about how he did that could have been done by another person? Meaning, are they
I
that?
don't know because I 'cause I'm actually, I just know that it was
Yeah,
explosives, which I do know that I watched a video on this, someone said that the way that it was done was not he was literally that's not the way he would do it because he was an expert or something to that effect, but there was some rumblings, at least some, that it was not that,
yeah.
and I mean, if it was or it wasn't, if you're a person who is considering, going forward and testifying and that happened, boy, that's a huge deterrent, and to
That's
do
the
it in the Tesla in front of Trump Tower, I mean, it was a message,
yeah.
I think
I
it was a message.
The way that I took it, and from what I'd heard from other people, was that it was more like that guy was that he did it himself, and that he was trying to draw a trail of breadcrumbs for the rest of the
Well,
world back to what's really going on.
and
But
maybe.
yeah,
The strange thing to me is that nobody has connected those dots really too much.
I
And
yeah,
maybe there's something about him that was controversial, or it wasn't, maybe I'm wrong, it's already been
yeah.
debunked because I'm
Well,
you know
I mean, there's a concept I've experienced before. I've talked to, I went to school. I wanted to do law enforcement for a while, so I took some different criminology classes. And one of the lieutenants here that I worked with, he'd been a lieutenant in the sheriff's department for Cook County, all of Chicagoland area for 20 years. But he and I were talking about crime and crime levels and suppressing information and how like, conspiracy theories and this and that we're talking about. But yeah, he was saying that basically he said at a certain point, he's experienced seeing it where people are so famous and so wealthy and so everything that when cops get a report that something took place between that person and somebody else, the prosecutors won't touch it because they literally are like, no, man, this is going to go the way of OJ. I'm going to get humiliated because, this
And they're
person,
elected.
this guy says a famous person did something 10 years ago and there's no witnesses and it's his word against this other person's. No, I'm sorry. I'm not prosecuting it. So
Okay.
that same type of thing happens if you're trying to ask questions about any of this stuff in the military, what happens? You're told to stop asking. In the government, you're told to stop asking. And then if you keep asking, then you get threatened basically. And that's when people really
Mhm.
stop asking at that point. But yeah, there's just at a certain point of what we would call the power and control systems that are in this world, they've just, you have to kind of pick the lock and get into the system, at a certain point because you just get stonewalled about everything.
Right. I'm definitely an outsider, so hopefully they don't pay attention to me after I mention that on here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm probably on several government watch lists already.
Ah!
But um yeah, no, who knows? There's so much strange stuff going on, and there's so much different sort of disinformation-y stuff going on. And yeah, it's just there's a ton of stuff that's hard to
Well,
keep
and it's
track of.
amazing to me. Most people don't think this is important or whatever, but if you connect the dots, back to, first of all, we don't need to be lied to. We're we're not children,
Yeah,
but also potentially if some of the stories that have been told are true, and this is a big thing that Dr. Greer has been on, is technology that could
right.
save the planet is at stake,
Yeah, these things
literally.
don't run off batteries and combustion engines. They run off of energy multiplying devices or devices that know how to collapse waveforms in a vacuum box to 0 point energy and all of that good stuff.
And I'm definitely interested in saving the planet.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
I've told people before, it's kind of funny. Something like, well, why would everybody keep anti-gravity technology underground? They could make tons of money off it. Well, yeah, they could. And I do get it in the 50s that people would have been very weirded out by the idea of extraterrestrial life. And I get it why people sat on this stuff for a little bit of time. But then I think what happened was you had the bad guys pushed out all of the good guys and said, now we're going to sit on this permanently because again, if you were to release this new type of energy, what happens? You cripple the energy market that's in the world. People lose trillions of dollars, and that's what's been driving all of this. I told people, I said the ET thing and the anti gravity technology. That's not the most interesting part. It's the free electricity that can power all of this different stuff in the world and end poverty and
exactly.
homelessness and end everything. But you
Exactly.
wipe out a multi-trillion-dollar energy market to at the same time, which is what's standing in front of people.
Yeah, I have I've actually thought and thought and thought about how could that possibly, what person could consciously make such a horrible decision? So I don't understand that. That does make me think that there is at least one other factor in play there with the secrecy.
Mhm.
I don't understand it really. I understand certain parts of it, but not others, because it does seem like it's gone on for so long.
Yeah, there's a couple of different things. I think number one, you're dealing with straight up sociopaths in some cases. They just don't. They don't care about anything that happens to anybody else in the world. I mean, Dr. Greer's even been like, yeah, I know these people. I've talked to them before. They don't care. Um, but you've got that, and then you have the other problem too, which is I'll call it the North Korea program. Let's say tomorrow morning Kim Jong Un wants to give everybody the internet and freedom. How is he supposed to explain his country's actions to those people for the last 100 years? Oh, sorry, we've been starving you guys to death, but here's the real stuff. Obviously, people are going to need to hold people accountable afterwards. And that's where Dr. Greer has told people, he said, look, you're going to have to give people amnesty, like straight up. You're going to have to just tell people, dump the information, give it to us. We're not letting you off the hook. You're not a good person, but we're not going to throw you in jail for the rest of your life and financially and economically ruin you and your family. We're not doing that. We just want the technology to give to the world, basically.
So that was a hot button issue a couple weeks back, being debated on a couple of different YouTube channels. I think we're probably both into those.
Which part? Yeah.
And I think that there should be a amnesty window to put some
Yes.
pressure.
That I think they
You know,
tried to do that at one point.
I mean, they're not going to come forward if they think they're going to go to prison.
Yeah, nobody's going to. I wouldn't come forward if I thought I was going to go to prison. I don't care. Even if I was like, hey, man, I've been stuck in this thing and they said they were going to kill my family. They're still going to throw me in prison afterwards. They're not going to care. So yeah, you're going to have, you
That's
have to
right.
have something set up for whistleblowers and people that are coming forward to be able to, get the same treatment that the bottom level mafia guys get for flipping on the bosses.
I mean, who could blame anyone for not trusting the government?
Right. Yeah. There's no reason to. Um,
There's absolute reason. Yeah.
what do you think about it? There's a lot of different predictions coming up, as to what people think is going to be coming in the future. You've got, these people talking about 2027. I know Chris thinks that, Chris has a date of, I think, 2026 of Easter in 2026. And he has said that that is when the blonde lady that he speaks to told him that when the star of Regulus sets in a certain place, that there will be this unfathomable amount of information and it will change humanity forever and all this different stuff, which is a real thing. In 2026, I guess the Star of Regulus will set on an Easter in front of the Sphinx, like right in front.
Going to be cool to be there.
So that's what she said, that there's supposed to be some sort of an event happening. But I always wonder, what kind of thoughts does everybody have about what moving forward?
So I hope that what we're looking at is a transformation of humanity and not the extermination.
Hmm.
It is absolutely frightening to me uh, to conceive of people who would like to hasten the end of the world
They're out there.
for religious or other
Yes.
reasons,
Yes, I know what you're
or
talking about.
populate some of us and other people go underground and destroy all the trees. I mean, Mother Earth. I mean, that's horrifying to me. So all I can think is, store some water, but hope for the best, because
Hmm.
what else can I do?
Yeah.
But I also feel like actually that's one of the driving things that's made me come out of the closet.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
and I sell houses for a living, so I'm pretty visible in my,
Right.
local community. And to come forward and say that I believe in things that some people straight out the box would think I was crazy for, it
Yeah.
might be a bit of a jump. Although finally I feel like I can do that. But it's such an important thing. People need to know about this.
Yeah.
We need to know what is really happening. We need to know what Three Eye Atlas really is.
Right.
And maybe scientists don't know yet, but maybe they do. You know, um, People are not paying attention to these things, and I understand because I get it. It's the struggle just to get to work, get your kids fed, and but this is an issue for humanity. And
Yeah.
quite frankly, when I watched the New Paradigm Institute's video of the New Paradigm last night, super late, I cried
Hmm.
because I'm so proud to be a part of. Maybe I'm not going to do anything, right? But I'm at least going to try to put some positive momentum forward to a positive future for
Right.
humanity. That's really all we can do. I'm really, you know, I'm really excited to be part of this. I'm really excited about this weekend coming up. Maybe we're
Yeah.
going to do our own little CE5 there. We'll see. But to get around some like-minded people, I want to spread the word, and I want people to understand really just how important this is, because what is coming?
Right.
Hopefully nothing. But we need information.
Yeah.
Science needs information.
How did you first get involved with the um citizen, sorry, I couldn't think of the name for a second. Citizens for Disclosure. How did you first find out about all of this, and how long have you been with the group?
So I've been interested in this topic for a long, long time. I would say in the last 3 or 4 years, I've just slowly, YouTube has directed me. I found different creators to where I've become more in the know with what's really, really happening. And of course, there's a lot happening too.
Hmm.
So in the last couple of years, I was really excited with the 2023 for the first congressional hearings.
Yeah.
And somewhere in there, I saw Danny Sheehan speak. And that's where I was introduced to him and the New Paradigm Institute. And I hate email. I hate spam email, but I signed up for the newsletter anyways. And then I was actually reading the newsletter, which is something I don't do either. And somewhere in there, there was a request. Would you like to volunteer? Would you like to be part of it? And they were looking for leadership for Illinois, and I replied. And I think that was in early 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I actually got on board with the Citizens for Disclosure.
Hmm.
There's 4 of us here in Illinois. We have a big state. And we are trying to get more people involved. First of all, foremost, so our voice can be heard, you know. Um, we've got to get loud so that people are paying attention.
Right.
But second of all, so people know this is an issue. So many people have their head in the sand, some of them by choice, out of
Yeah.
fear.
It's a lot of by choice.
And
Again, all you have to do is look up like UFOs over the White House, and you've got like in the last 12 months, there's a bunch of them that have been over it. If that doesn't concern you, okay, I guess. But my fellow American, what the heck? Don't you kind of want to know what's going on, buddy? Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Nobody's, yeah,
I'm also excited about like connecting with other like-minded people,
yeah.
quite frankly, you
Yeah,
know.
the other when people say like, "Oh, people that are like nonsensical or just don't think anything with this is going on," that's my other question: is why do you think why do you think Congress is having hearings? Does Congress have hearings because I just raised my hand and asked them to have a hearing? No, it's because there's evidence to support something. So here we are, man. Get with the program, okay? Stop avoiding the fact that maybe it's. I think a lot of people are subconsciously scared. Like you had said earlier,
It's
there
good.
are risk factors for people. Speaking of, like you said, you've got people who literally want to. There are people who literally were online in this last election telling people to vote for Donald Trump and JD Vance because they thought that Donald Trump was the Antichrist and JD Vance was the son of the Antichrist. I am not kidding. This is what, and the reason for this is they thought that this would bring about the Book of Revelations. I do not think that, by the way, just to make this very clear for anybody watching. But these guys think that was the Book of Revelations, and that they think that it's going to bring about the apocalypse. And then you've got other people that are, going through Congress and going through telling everybody that all of this phenomenon activity is all demonic. It's all evil. Even if it's healing people, it's evil because, it's not mainstream Christian. It's like a giant pot of soup that people keep throwing all kinds of stuff into on the stove and it's boiling over.
With their own biases, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. Yeah. Just it's all of this different, all of their different things. I really love though, for how I have many friends of all of the different Christian denominations. I came from a Catholic background, but I'm not any kind of a really practicing Catholic type of person. Um, but I find it kind of funny though that everybody thinks of sort of like the Catholic side being very sort of like old fashioned and stuck up and all of this. The Catholic Church already has an entire manual that it's put together for introducing people to non-human intelligence. And
My Catholic friend is the only one that believes me.
yeah, there was a guy, he's a like Father Mario, da 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 da, whatever his name was, but like somebody was asking him about like, well, do you think that if we met, civilizations from a different planet, would they practice Christianity? And he's like, no. Why would they practice Christianity? Christianity is based on the fact that Jesus came here because humans were screwing things up and needed help. We have no reason to believe any other planet would have needed that kind of intervention. So no, I would not think anyone would have the same religion that we do on Earth, was his, exact answer. So that's, to me, that's like the common sense way of looking at it. But yeah, again, look at Chris Bledsoe's family. When they started seeing stuff, in his book, he talks about the horrible experience he had with his church, throwing holy water on him and his family, claiming they were possessed. Just the most ridiculous stuff humanly possible.
That would be horrible. That'd be horrible. And he still spoke his truth though.
Yeah.
It's hard, well, to I would imagine that'd be really, really. I mean, I feel like it's so mainstream now that
Right.
and frankly, I do care what people think of me, but I'm not lying, so I don't,
Well, we don't want
believe
anybody
it.
to think we're crazy. That's kind of the thing. It's like, yeah, it's like I don't care what people think of me about my political views, but I don't want anybody thinking that I'm having psychotic episode. So
Fair enough.
yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yes. And I don't know what it is. I don't think that it's satellites. There's too many
Right.
of
Yeah.
them. They fade out. They come in. They fade out. They do different things. They stay in spots sometimes. Um, and maybe the government is doing this to me so I can go out and talk about it, make it seem real. That there's a possibility of that.
Yeah.
When people say that they know exactly what's happening, I don't believe those people.
Hmm.
Maybe the
Yeah.
president, maybe no, maybe not. But
Well, like that's like when Chris talks about stuff, even he's just like, yeah, this is like my best impression of the information that I got. And then that's the same. My friend in Australia, she says the same thing. Everybody, all of my friends who have we'll call it kind of that direct connection type of thing.
there's no, there's probably different things going on, and I really do think that every time a piece of information comes out, that the government attaches that true piece to 75% crazy, stupid story and
Mhm.
reconfigures it and puts it up on the New York Times or Wall Street Journal, I think it was with this last one, um, to muddy the water and to
Yeah.
make it when people don't want to believe, all you have to do is make one part of it fake and they're ready to
Mhm.
hang their hat on that.
Yeah,
You
that's what
know,
the debunker does is he'll grab the fact, "Oh, well, this didn't happen." Well, yeah, but the other stuff did. I always I say to somebody, "Look, man, let's say that like you have to have a 70% hit ratio to be considered psychic in psychic testing, right? For like random number generators and stuff. So if you do a random number generator and you only get 50%, then no, there's nothing psychic being shown there. But make it a different test. So instead, make it that like somebody has to pick the first and last name of all of the NFL draft picks for this season coming up. And out of 10, you don't get 7, you only get 5. How did you guess the 5 names of the 5 guys that were gonna be drafted? That's still psychic, but because it's being measured in a different way, it's being looked at as nothing, and I feel that's the way that all of this phenomenon has been looked at in the past was, "Well, I can't be certain about it, so let's just forget about it and ignore it, and we'll pretend it's not happening." And now it's sort of just dumped in everybody's lap, and now you have to deal with it, and you can't pretend it's not happening.
well, there's two things there I think that are interesting to me. One is I think that part of the reason that we're being allowed to learn more is that with the new understanding, which quite frankly we could have had a while back, but
Mhm.
we didn't look at it and really consider it. But the new understanding of quantum physics and the
Yeah.
spooky action at a distance, and the fact that, quite frankly, young Jedi, there's a force.
Right, right,
Or
exactly.
Akashic record or whatever you want to call it. There's something that our brain has a quantum we can tap into.
Yeah.
That is I never understood, like, I always wanted to go to the psychic, but I never really was like, is this true or not? Because I didn't understand the mechanism of it. And in my mind, I just always there has to be,
Right, I have to see
connect
the
the dots.
mechanical process that it
Right.
happens. Yeah.
Well, now with the new understanding of quantum physics, that literally is how we are tapping in. And maybe that was too short of an explanation, but someone who understands just the basics of quantum physics would understand kind of what I was talking
Right.
about with that. Um, and then, blah, 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 blah,
I
blah,
think
blah, 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 blah,
you were
blah.
talking quantum action at a distance, so you're talking quantum entanglement.
Yes, 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 yes,
Mhm.
definitely. So I feel like that's part of the how, right? Then the other thing about psychics and psychic ability is, so I'm from an education background.
Mhm. Okay.
And literally, everybody's like, "Oh, it's such a hogwash, da da da. Well, why can that person do it, not this person?" Well, I couldn't read until someone taught me how to read. And it
Right.
wasn't something that I learned in one day. In fact, it took years.
Yeah.
So if it's akin to that, where you have to focus and understand what you're looking for in order to develop that skill,
Mhm.
then
Yeah.
that makes sense why some people are going to be more naturally talented. They're not going to need as much instruction. So they're going to pop out. Whereas other people are going to go, oh, I kind of had a funny feeling about that. And they're not going to associate it, but that's really actually what it is.
Yeah.
So I feel like that area is exploding. I have a degree in psychology, and if this stuff had been on the forefront, or if I'd known about it, I maybe have went a whole different way with my career, because I am fascinated by the how it happens,
Yeah.
why it happens to some people and not other people, the mechanisms of how it happens, how can you develop those skills. And I've got a few books. I'm toying with some remote viewing,
Yeah.
myself. So fun.
Yeah. What do you want to kind of, for anybody here who's watching that's maybe interested and they want to check out the Citizens for Disclosure, do you want to talk about kind of like what activities, kind of what you do?
Definitely, definitely. So, depending on when this video goes out, this weekend we are actually going to be at the Route 66 UFO Festival in Lexington. Did we decide that was where it was? Just south of
Livingston.
Springfield. Livingston, sorry.
Oh,
Just
okay.
south of Springfield.
Yeah.
And it's going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and that is going to actually be a blast. Um, they're having people speak. MUFON's there. We're gonna have a booth, and they're having bands and vendors, and I think it's gonna be a fun opportunity to get together with some like-minded people. I am actually hoping to do a little skywatching as
Yeah.
well. So our group, Citizens for Disclosure, we are an advocacy group, but we're also, that part of it is outreach to reach more people, but also to do some fun stuff. So if you are interested in this, connect with us, become part of our network here in Illinois. You can do it across the United States. So
Yeah.
if you go to the newparadigm.org and you fill out the sheet to volunteer with them, when you give them your address, the ladies in the office are going to assign you to your state. So if you live in Illinois, you're going to show up on my list and you're going to start getting communications from us. But if you're like, I don't know about the newsletter, I don't know about becoming a volunteer, you can also just check out our Facebook page.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Citizens for Disclosure Illinois, I believe it's CFDIL. So www.facebook.com/CFDIL, I believe will take you right there. And you can kind of keep up with us. We are looking not only for people to join our group, to just be part of our group, and our main goal is to do advocacy with the government. So we just did meetings with some of the congressional staffers to talk to them about the UAPDA, which is the UAP disclosure piece of legislation that they're trying to push through Congress right now that would give those whistleblower protections, hopefully. So that's a big part of what our group is. But we're also networking, and we are specifically looking for people who are involved with college campuses. Like,
Hmm.
we'd love to have a group on every campus.
Yeah.
So we're looking for leaders as well. So we're looking for people who just want to come and join us, keep in the know, drop into our Zooms. We might have a cool speaker. I think we're having a meeting this Thursday via Zoom. We might have some in-person meetings. But we're also looking for some people that are really interested in, maybe they're all pumped after we give this talk today, and they want to get in there and be a force for good. We are
Yeah.
looking for those people. We
Yeah.
need those leadership people, especially on campuses. And I don't think a lot of people actually know about this yet.
No.
Not as many should know about it. And
Yeah.
because I do think that there are more people that would like to be a part of this historic campaign.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think, right now we've got this going on at the same time that we have other things going on in the world. If we had less stuff going on in the world, this would be more of a front seat thing. You'd see it on channel. Because when we used to have the hearings like we're going to have on September 9th, I used to see those advertised on TV. Don't see those advertised anymore for some reason. Um, but yeah, it's just it's weird, man, and it's just kind of not taking your foot off the gas pressure and off the pressure pedal. on
There are a lot of
guys.
people in positions of power that apparently would like to keep it clamped
Oh yeah,
down from
absolutely.
all appearances. So if we want the truth, we're going to have to demand it.
Yeah, very much it. I am looking at our clock here, and I see that we're getting on kind of an hour, and I want to make sure I know
Yeah,
you got
we
somewhere
are.
you got to be here, and we're kind of going over that. So, Tasha, I will let you go for today. I'm going to put all the information in here. For those of you who didn't catch it at first, I am also now a newly minted member for Citizens with Disclosure as well here in Illinois. So she and I are going to be working together. But please, guys, we'll put in all the information underneath for the New Paradigm Institute for Citizens for Disclosure. We'll put Tasha's channeling because I want to see those videos you've got. And yeah, with anything you guys, any questions you have, go ahead. My email address is right in the stuff below, and we'll get back in touch with you shortly.
Yeah. I think it's Miss Tasha 217 for YouTube.
Okay, cool. All right, gotcha. All right, perfect. All right, Tasha. Well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, and we will see you again soon.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Right. Bye.